Ruddy, maybe more of that mid-jungle synergy.
Maybe. Well, we'll find out as we are getting into Champ Select. The Yuumi has been banned away here from the side of Verdant. Moving over to Ruddy to see what they're going to be looking to put their attention on as their ban for the first round is just going to be the Zeri. Oh, can we be done with Zeri? No, not yet. Well, I mean, we are in a way, but like, it's been too long, bro. It's been too long. The fact she still shows up at all is tragic to me.
I mean, so, you know, Zeri, Milio, Maokai, typical red side bans. If you're watching LPL, that's what's happening right now. These champions are too good and really, really strong potential B1 picks. And then you have a bunch of tier 1 picks, right? I can see Nico's out because it just simply has no counters. I think the best answer is potentially something like Aurelia. But yesterday we saw Nico go through and attempt to be answered by a Victor, which confused me a little because I don't even think that's that great. And then the Victor got solo killed. So draft resources, rather just ban it. Yumi's gone to deny those kind of synergies like Lucian, Yuumi, Lucian, Milio all out. So what I'm looking at here, what's left open is something like Vi, Cassante, and I think those are the key ones right now. Oh, and Maokai.
Alrighty, well, there's going to be the Gragas as the final ban here from the side of Ruddy. Moving over to that first rotation of pickups here. Verdant blind picking the Maokai, like you were saying, hasn't been banned on the red side, so it's just insta-pickable here for Verdant. Question is do they have an answer for this? Have they got something in mind on what they're going to be looking to play? They do obviously get the 2 picks here. Could just look towards something, could be a strong bottom, or look for, you know, at least a good start for that bot lane, and then you get himself a good jungler, or probably, I don't think you go mid here, but I think you go like AD carry and jungle, or Lucian and jungle.
Lucian plus jungler could be a thing that you do because Nami won't get taken away, right? Toaster actually played Lucian yesterday from memory. But it does look like they're going to go to the Aphelios. You can imagine that they're going to pair off this Aphelios with something like the Lulu. But Sejuani would also be very good because how this matchup works is Maokai hates being engaged on, and often with the Sejuani, you could just pick him off and kill him because you have long-range non-committal engage, right? Maokai absolutely despises that. So it does look like we're going to get a melee-enabled composition topside for the side of Ruddy, where you pick like melee carries, stuff like Sylas, stuff like Jax, alongside that Sejuani topside.
Yeah, just running my mind through potential supports here. As Verdant lock in that Jinx, they could look towards something like a Thresh, because Thresh is very safe to take with the likes of the Aphelios now at this point, because the Lulu's been denied, the Yumi's not there. I feel like Thresh is actually a safe pick here, because it gives you that Lantern, means that Toaster on a less mobile AD carry could be subject to getting caught by the... less subject to getting caught by like the Maokai and stuff like that. Obviously, the downside is you don't have an enchanter kind of buffing you up and supporting you that way. Instead, they've just gone full balls to the wall here, and they're looking in the Pyke as their support here. Unless that's like mid lane Pyke, which got nerfed into the ground a couple years ago, so I very much doubt that's going to be the case.
No,
that's an
really
aggressive
cool
bot lane. I like it because it goes through the shields, right?
No, absolutely, yeah. And it's not even just that. It's also good into enchanters, and they want to make plays on the map. It's also a melee. I didn't expect it, though. I did think they were going to go for the Rakan, really good combo with the Sedge, also procs the passive, because he's considered with melee and is decent into the bot lane as well. Does look like they're going to ban out some anti-melee champions. Cassiopeia destroys all champions that want to engage and do long trades, like melee champions, stuff like Sylas. So that's immediately what I'm seeing right now as priority for Ruddy. There's the Sylas ban. Typically, Sylas is very good here because Sylas becomes essentially a better Maokai when you steal his ultimate. Other melee champions you could potentially consider banning are the Jax for the side of Verdant, to deny that away. He did fall down in prio a little bit. Last pick I want to highlight here before I give it over to you is Cassante still open, and Cassante is alongside Sion, you know, they're kind of the premier top lane tanks, which is what you need. You need a tank alongside Maokai for that hyper carry composition with the Lulu Jinx, because you kind of want 2 frontliners there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious what this final ban is going to be here from the side of Verdant, but I feel like you're saying Sion, Cassante, 2 pretty solid walls. Either is pickable. The question is are Ruddy going to look to try and counter it mid or top? That's the real question for me right now, because I feel like they're probably just going to try and blind pick top here, right? And then make sure that the mid is kind of unlocked as possible. Or you could just go like a Syndra and just go like a basic wave clear mage and then look to play for top. Yeah.
So the thing is, what's happening right now globally in drafts is top lane is being left less resources in draft, because you just enable other roles and top lane's less relevant, right? A lot of the picks are blind pickable. Gwen, I'm surprised went through because you want a top lane tank pick for Verdant, and Gwen is the global answer to these tanks. You have your like trio of Gragas, Sion Cassante, and Sion Cassante get destroyed by Gwen, as well as Gwen being a really good team fighting champion and being a melee to synergize with Sidoni. So I think this is potentially an oversight here. Do value taking away Xian's Darius. Xian plays Darius, by the way, and it's his like most played champion and profile on Twitter, picture on Twitter. So does look like they're going to take that away. Tristana picked up for the side of Verdant. AD mid jungle, AD mid top laners are what you're going to look for. You want mixed damage in that mid lane and jungle role with between the Maokai and the Tristana, and this is a very standard pairing. Jace would also be an option here.
Yeah, Jace actually could be a potential. Or they just go full committal team fight. That's a lot of yordles for the side of Verdant as they're locking in a Kennen here on the top side. We'll talk a little bit about that top matchup in a moment. As we look towards the mid lane, Tristana's one of those lanes in mid where she kind of just handles any lane. She's got the safety from the rocket jump. She has the shove because of her E. And then she actually has really strong all-in at level 2 and 3. So looking for the Master
Is that locked?
Yi.
Is that a mistake? That's a mistake.
Okay, I need to find out if that's actually
Is this a support? Okay, we've got to wait. We can't speculate. We have to wait and see. It's Master Yi jungle.
Sejuani mid's actually so okay. Right. Here's a few things. Right. So Tristana's really annoying if you're playing like a mage or a fighter or kind of anything mid lane, because she just harasses the hell out of you and then just all-ins you at level 2 or 3 with Hail of Blades and kills you. Now, Sejuani has no kill threat here, and also might be a little bit lacking in the old wave clear department. But you're not going to get killed at level 2 or 3 unless you make a severe mistake. That's like my one thing here is like it's quite hard for Tristana to kill the Sejuani at least. But that's a bold comp by Ruddy. That is a very, very bold comp by Ruddy.
The question is, have you overcooked?
Yes.
So the thing is, you have point and click CC and a Maokai route, but that's it, right? Yes, you have polymorph, but I think Alpha Strike can you can dodge it with, because it's a projectile, right? Polymorph's a projectile that you can dodge with Alpha Strike, so I think that's out the window. And Maokai route's the only one you have, which is probably the angle they saw. You know, easy comp to scale up in on the Master Yi. You can't be invaded that much by a Maokai of all things. I guess you have Prio mid lane, which might facilitate that, but is that the angle they're going for? On the other hand, I'm a little bit worried for Verdant's draft because you have a front-to-back team composition, but you only have Maokai as a tank. And historically, Maokai as sole frontline isn't the best, right? It just hasn't been the best. He often just gets popped, and then you've got no room for your carries to hit, which is why I wanted a second frontline. But instead, what you've had to do is you've had to take Kennen into Gwen because you can't take a tank into Gwen. And that's why I wanted the Gwen ban. Kennen is a good isolated matchup, but how the team fight function now is probably Kennen has to create space for the carries, and that's a bit awkward.
Yeah, no, it's a very bizarre team comp from the side already. Maybe they've just got some like crazy science that we weren't ready for, and we've been caught off guard. I see a very resource intensive Master Yi who's going to want a lot of gold to kind of be relevant. They also have an Aphelios who's also very resource intensive and wants a lot of investment. So you're kind of putting all of your money into 2 baskets, and I worry that that's not going to be spread wide enough. Now, Sejuani, once she gets her Mythic, it's relatively chill because she'll have the survivability, and for NB Carry, you know, their job in this game is just to be that support for the team, and just be that frontline for the team. But I do worry that Toaster and Zapdo might be a little lacking in the gold department, and just might not be able to do enough damage to really take over this game.
So I wanted to highlight bot lane this game, right? Before the series started, I wanted to highlight bot lane. I wanted to highlight Gooby and Toaster because, first of all, Toaster carries me in solo queue like almost all the time. He doesn't realize this, but we queue into each other a lot, and he's very good. He's always popping off, and he's always 1v9ing. And Gooby yesterday was absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely, maybe not outperforming a Denvox because it is a team game after all, but in some team fights, I remember a team fight around bot lane Bush where he gap closed using the Bush in the river and managed to gap close onto a lethal tempo stack Jinx as a Aphelios into melee range, and it was really, really impressive. I want to see if they can keep up these performances, and if so, then we might see some fancy team fights. But the reason I don't want to highlight them at the same time is because it's now a double cull lane, you know?
Yeah.
And what we're probably going to see is mid-jungle
Oh my god, this
be the
triple
focus. Yeah, that's why I didn't want to
Oh.
highlight these. I can imagine mid jungle because Master Yi is enabled by Sejuani, and that's the idea here. Since Master Yi gets his double hit passive, he might insta proc Sejuani passive with the melee stun.
Yeah.
I can imagine that's an interaction that they're going to go for, and potentially catch Tristana off guard or the Maokai off guard. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm not that experienced with Master Yi. The only Master Yi I see is Cynarius in high elo, and he somehow gets rank 1 and nobody understands why. So that's that's pretty much
Master
it.
Yi is one of those champions who, you know, maybe not in competitive, but in like a solo queue setting, if they get the gold injected into them, it just feels like there's nothing you can do. But also, there's so many steps you can take to not just let the Master Yi take over the game, hence why you don't really see them in competitive. Whenever I see a Master Yi in a game of this, in a setting like this where it's 5-on-5, everyone's using their heads, they've got coaches, it's very much on both teams to kind of play that intelligently. So if you've got the Master Yi, you need to build a team that can kind of play to the Master Yi and play as kind of like an enabler. The question is do they really have that? Yeah, they got the Sejuani, so there is something there. The mid jungle synergy is actually quite strong and would be something I would be a little nervous about. But then you expand that outwards. You got a Gwen who's kind of, you know, a bit of a selfish split pusher. Yeah, she can join into fights, and especially when you've got the ghost running, you can take over fights eventually. But like again, Gwen kind of fills a similar role in like a Master Yi as well. Like they'll run into the fight and just start tidying up. And it's the same with the Aphelios. Like it feels like there's way too many of the same thing, and they've not got everything they need. Like if you're building something, you can't build a house with just bricks. You need cement.
So
you need support beams.
Your argument is that there are too many greedy champions in this game that need too many resources. Great. I completely agree. I think the Gwen, though, could be left on an island. And typically, I think the point in the Gwen pick here was to deny that front line, which I think was very clever because you really don't want to play Sion or Cassante into it. Despite having, I believe someone yesterday, I think it was either Shikari or Nili, did decently well in this matchup. I definitely think that was the point in the Gwen. I'm really excited. I want to see how this Master Yi plays out. No, genuinely, this is one of the most exciting drafts I've seen, and we definitely wouldn't see this in any other league. I think our league's pretty special like that. We just have Zapdo pulling it out, and if anyone in the jungle position is going to pull out the Master Yi, it's probably Zapdo. I think he went 9-1 yesterday. Unfortunately, they lost, but you know the guy's cracked.
I'm trying to cast my mind back to the last time I saw a Master Yi in competitive, and it might have been
mid lane.
The last time I saw one was it was Faker when he played it mid. He had that Olaf and Yi's
AP Alpha Strike.
Yeah. Like I think that was the last time I saw a Master Yi in the mid lane, well, in the game, and that was mid as well. I genuinely can't recall the last time I saw a Master Yi in jungle in competitive. Like off the top of my mind, that's a bit of a mystery to me. I think I've talked a lot about Ruddy's comp though, and you know my major concerns of it. That's a very, very scary team. If that snowballs, if all of those champions start to get plate golds and lots of kills, then the game's over. Like you're never gonna win versus like a Fed, Aphelios, Gwen, and Master Yi. Like it's impossible. But I feel like there's plenty of tools set up to kind of deny that. So let's talk a little bit more about what Verdant have put together here, because they've gone for a more traditional comp. I think their team is on the terms of kind of old school terms that we used to use. I'm weird saying that this is an old school term, but the ease of execution. There's definitely a very clear goal for this team and how it functions. You know, their team fight's very strong. They've got the disruption of the Kennen and the Maokai to buy space for the Jinx, who has a Lulu backing up as well. So even if somehow you get past all of that, you have to get through the wild growth, the polymorph, and everything like that. So what do you feel the game plan is here for Verdant? Like what we know what they kind of want to be doing, but how do they get there?
Slow and steady. Surviving some cheese in the mid lane, I can imagine, with the Master Yi and Sejuani combination, and then getting to team fights around neutral objectives and playing incredibly meta, team fighting properly, you know, maintaining formation and having a front line in front and just hitting. Nothing special. The most bog standard League of Legends you can get. That's what we saw all of MSI, right? The best team in the world, probably at team fighting, was JDG, and they would just play front to back compositions, and they were just the best at it. No matter what would happen, they'd have 369 in the front line alongside Kanavi. And that would never break. And they would just buy time until they would give Ruler enough space to actually go in with something like the Zeri, you know? And that's what I want to see of Verdant, what's the word I'm trying to pull out? Emulate, right? I want to see them emulate this really well, because that's what I feel like they're inspired by. I really definitely think this team is an LPL watching team, because it's very similar.
Yeah, I mean, it's the best way to, like, if you're gonna try and be a good team, you might as well replicate the best and see what they do and kind of learn from them. I feel like a lot of teams do try to do something other than that, but like, you know, this is how the LPL do it, but we need to make our own defining way of playing the game. But like, I mean, that's not always the way, unfortunately. I do like that it's LPL, but we all base our stuff off now, because
I mean,
LPL methods are way more fun than when we had like LCK. Everyone was trying to replicate LCK. The game was slow and boring. Do you remember like a 45-minute game was really normal?
Severe Gathering Storm. Any rememberers? That was brutal. I can't imagine casting that. I'm really glad I chose to become a caster now, and not
when it was fun.
Not 7 years ago when Severe with Gathering Storm and hour-long games were normal. That sounds brutal.
I remember going to like old school broadcasts, like back when it was like UK Masters and ESL Premiership and everything like that. And it's like, we got 5 games. Okay, so it's an hour a game plus everything else. So we're like in the studio for like 5.5 to 6 hours easily. Actually, probably more. Yeah, they were long days. They were long old days. I mean, they were fun because you had a lot of time to kind of just chat. I used to cast with a guy called Tig, an Irish guy who unfortunately we haven't had around for a little while.
I played with him in solo queue. Yeah,
have you?
Great guy. Yeah, he plays
still
Riven.
high elo?
No, he was plat. I was on my spare.
Okay. I was about to say, I was like, Tig's got to be washed up by now.
Good
right?
guy though.
No, I love him. But back then, you know, we just used to ramble, and that's kind of what we're doing right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's the classic.
I think it's where you develop the pulling it out of your bum, like just a random conversation topic, and how slow the old game used to be. Do you remember like Avarice Blade Sivir back when it was the Greek guy? I can't remember his name now. Forgiven, thank you.
Forgiven, yeah.
Yeah, it was like Avarice Blade Sivir was like Forgiven's just go-to. And it was just like, well, we're in for like a 50-minute game.
Before my time. We're actually going back before my time.
You don't remember that?
I don't remember that. I don't even think I watched Pro Play at that time. Or played.
How old were you back then? You must have been like really young, right?
16, potentially. Oh, we're back in game.
Oh, my
Let's go. Beautiful.
And here we are. Well, we had a lot of time to fill, and I hate to break it to you, but I do probably have a little bit more time to fill as well, because
it's going to be a slow one.
Before we went into the break, triple Cole on the side of Verdant. They are looking just to play this game nice and reserved in the early.
I want to watch Master Yi's pathing. I want to see and try to learn and understand what he wants to do. Is he going to do some 3-camp cheese stuff in the mid lane with that Sejuani? Potentially try to one-shot Nita, because Master Yi does a lot of damage. If you ever play against him, like sometimes he's pulled out as a cheese top lane pick and he just one-shots you level 2 with a double hit, right? So alongside that Sejuani passive, maybe when Sejuani is level 3, because she really does need level 3, we'll see something. If that is unlikely, maybe he's analyzing like the wave state, you know, is it actually possible? You know, because realistically, Tristana has that buffer on the leap too. Maybe he just goes for the full clear, because he knows that Maokai can't really do anything. It's a Maokai, despite having priority in literally every single lane. Master Yi can get away with a full clear and not be invaded because of that Maokai pick.
Yeah, I feel like it's not, you know, like a Warwick or something that's just going to invade and find a kill on him. He's probably pretty comfortable to play this. I think like his game plan is just PvE for a little while as well. Maybe if Nita overextends, but like it's like we were saying earlier, it's so hard to actually punish unless you alpha at the right time. Nita has rocket jump and the flash, so I don't feasibly see how you actually find a opportunity to find a gank in the mid. Bot lane, it's a Lulu and a Jinx, so again, like you said, you have to perfectly time that alpha strike to dodge the polymorph, or odds are you might struggle. It's gonna really come down to actually P here, who's on the pike, and it's on them to kind of set up the roams around the map and maybe look and enable these plays for the team. As they get a nice amount of damage actually off onto Gooby. Have to put down the traps. As probably able to dodge away there from that zap, and that's a lovely little trade. Actually gets almost another hook off. Is just able to break it away. Zapdo. There's no way, right? They're going to go for a dive.
You can see Taxa. Taxa's running down. He sees something coming.
Nope. He goes straight to his chicken camp.
I think they're dead here. Oh no, he recalls. I think they smelled it as well, you know. But that's really big, right? Because Gooby's now going to miss out on some minions here as it crashes, and Toaster's going to be able to just, you know, get a nice recall. They do have purple gun. They have purple gun. This could be a gank setup as well.
If the hook lands, he's dead. Wendell flashes. Lovely follow-up there from Zapdo. A surprising amount of damage from an early Master Yi. TP being used nice and early here from Niter, who tries to join into the fray. Taxa's coming in with a flank, and Ruddy have found themselves in a seriously dangerous position. Toaster flashes the wall, but he has nowhere to go. Hook comes in to save the day. Toaster gets flashed onto, interrupted by Envy Carry as Toaster's desperately trying to get away. The Glitter Lance now may just be the big threat to Envy Carry, and somehow a miracle breaks out for Verdant, and they only lose a single member in that invade.
Gooby actually biting the bullet and recalling there was crucial to come back with full HP. But specifically, I want to highlight Niter. If we get a replay of that play, even if we don't, that 3-man rocket jump to AoE slow everyone just secured so many flashes. And now, because Toaster has no flash, Pui still does, fortunately. That's throwing a wrench in their plans. They can't play through bot lane as much anymore. They really wanted to use that purple gun, since that is the next gun you get along the way. And that play just goes out the window. Zapdo just has to go back to full clearing, and really, really good counter gank by Niter.
Yeah, that was really, really well read by Verdant. You said earlier it looked like they had a good read on it, and you were right. They had an amazing read on it. They were able to rotate Taxa down at the perfect time. Great, just very forward-thinking teleport there by Niter. And I think the good news for Ruddy is that was only Zapdo. That felt like that could have been 2-3 members went down, and that would have spelt a serious problem for the team that either want to snowball this game or just get enough resources that they can take the game over.
Yeah. But this is why I highlighted. I want them to play through mid and play through Toaster. Is he gonna die? The lethal tempo stacked up. I think he's dead.
Yeah, he goes down. Total misplay. Envy Carry, he's looking to come down, but I don't really see how he's going to be able to find a gank here. So, yeah, Verdant going to take himself a free reset and move away. As Nilly did have to use the Slicing Maelstrom, I think, just to clear through the wave and stop Xinyuan from finding an opportunity to kill them. Gooby has been found here, and actually, they do have their jungler coming in, able to get the rockets off, and finds himself the excitement, and that is going to be it. What are Ruddy doing? It's just mistake after mistake.
It's an absolute disaster. It all starts off because Toaster doesn't have flash from that early play. We had to flash over the wall, and then he just dies. He somehow walks into them. And take a look at mid lane as well. Even after that play, he's falling down in CS2. This is why I want to play through mid. You have no priority mid, so you have to play through and force that priority. But now, another player is coming out to bot lane, and they just will not let up.
He actually got the shutdown? Are you kidding me? How did he pull that off?
What a madman. How does he do so much damage? I swear, Master Yi, he just absolutely one-hit him with that double hit at the end there. Somehow, 1 versus 3, they needed that. They absolutely needed that because everything was on fire around them.
I mean, the salty run back actually paid off, which is beyond bonkers to me there. Gets the shutdown, comes back with the Vamp Scepter. Did have a pickaxe, so he did have a fair amount of gold. And the main thing is his Toaster's also alleviated to get themselves basically a wave where they're not going to be getting poked and harassed by Gooby and Wendell. So they're able to kind of trim out the wave, not to sit underneath their tower taking pot shots and losing health, and able to shove it back out. And now Toaster can go for that reset and get a stage closer towards that Storm Razor. As Pete does need to avoid Wendell. Verdant are going to have the priority on the map and the pressure, so the tempo's in their favor. We'll translate that into the Mountain Dragon to start it off for them as Envy Carry. I mean, there's not really much they can do here versus Niter. I think they've pretty much accepted their fate. They've got the Doran Shield, and they're just playing damage absorbent right now.
It's absolutely brutal, right? Because he just cannot play this. You cannot play Sejuani into ranged and do anything. There is no counterplay unless you find some early cheese. And even here, yes, it does a little bit of damage, but ultimately doesn't matter.
Zapdo. No way, he didn't press Q in time. Zapdo unable to find the kill. Taxa will not make it to find a kill. Oh, that is so unlucky for Zapdo, actually.
Yeah, Taxa with the ult over the wall from Fog of War is actually pretty hard to react to. I don't blame him necessarily, but still unfortunate. Maybe he didn't have Alpha Strike because he'd used it on chickens or something. Not too sure of the cooldown off the top of my head, but still very sad that they don't get the kill there because that is a rough CSU. This is what I mean. It's so good. The amount of damage you can do with this Sejuani passive insta-procking it.
He actually got away? No way, Zapdo! Man, honestly, I don't really care about Master Yi. I know a lot of people do, especially in solo queue, people get tilted by Master Yi. Toaster is actually just killing Gooby here. He has the double guns, so it is just kill territory. Wendell finds himself the kill onto Toaster, though.
What is happening? It's such a banger of a game. There's just... This is the NLC I missed. I missed this NLC for the past 3 months. It's just nonsense. Back and forth kills, non-stop. Doesn't matter who's ahead or who's behind, because it doesn't dictate who will kill next. I can't wait to see it. I bet you, Verdant, are going to turn this around now, get kills in the mid lane and bot lane.
Honestly, I have to admit it to Zapto. Really understanding the limits of Master Yi. Knowing the healing from the damage reduction from the meditation. Getting that Alpha Strike off to cancel that final tower shot as well, so he resets aggro and gets away. Genuinely impressive stuff coming in from Zapto on the Master Yi. I didn't think I'd be saying that on my first cast back of summer, but incredibly well played by him. I think the major thing to note, though, is Verdant are doing a really good job of just reading the map and controlling the tempo of the map. They've got the first dragon. They've now just picked up the first Rift Herald. They've been able to answer a lot of the plays that Ruddy have tried to make on the bottom side of the map. And it does look like they're pinging to come down for a potential dive, but the wave's been trimmed out so quickly by Gooby that they're going to either have to wait for another wave to go for it, or they're just going to have to back off. And I think with the rotation of the rest of Verdant coming around, Ruddy realized it's going to have to go back to lane state, and not going to be able to pull a dive off right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a reality of having mid-prio. Just your Sejuani is permanently pushed in unless you can play through it with a Master Yi in the mid lane off of the Sejuani ulti and the passives. You are just going to lose every single neutral objective, despite having a potential roaming support. It's just not enough. Look at the Tristana's gold lead and the CS lead. I wish we could see the gold lead because it's pretty nuts. She also has 2 plates in the mid lane with the bomb plus demolish procs, and you just have a really sad MV carry on a tier, right? It is miserable.
Master Yi's got a Bork, though. Zapto's actually already finished his Bork up. That's fairly impressive. Getting closer towards that Storm Razor there for Toaster, but like I said, Kraken Slayer finished up onto Gooby. He's also just about to finish that Cole, so another big injection of cash is coming in for him. And it looks like there's potential for a play here in the mid lane. That tower's already relatively low. It's a Tristana. With the help of a Rift Herald, they actually could crack that tower pretty easily.
Yeah. Just taking a look at the builds for Master Yi, because I imagine there are a lot of people like us who don't know exactly how Master Yi builds. And it does look like since the item rework, for the AD carry item reworks, it is a Bork into Guinsoo's angle. Although that might be too squishy for competitive. We'll have to see. Maybe it's something else that gives you a bit of bruiseriness. But that does look like what it could be. Zapto, I think he's going to be okay here, because Nilly is just going to get run down.
Oh, Nilly able to just about get away with thanks to the health of the slicing Maelstrom. The rocket comes in and Gooby's able to find himself the dunk. Now they're trying to see if they can finish up Zapto. He's down. Taxa finds the kill. Easy as you like. Verdant with the Rift Herald and a Tristana are going to be able to take so much on the map as P is looking to try and get himself a bit of damage onto Wendell. Lands the hook. Actually gets a whole bunch of damage off. Pulls the wild growth out. The Ignite's being used. Wendell is low HP. So Portal combat. He's got backup. He's got friends. P going for a swim. Can he get away? Caught by the glitter lance. He's going to get caught. No, they've got him. He gets the dash away, but Wendell finds the kill. That's a 3-0 Lulu.
And you can just feel the desperation. It feels like Pui is really trying to do anything he can, using his dash forwards to try and solo kill Wendell through his ultimate, potentially heal, and all his shields. I just don't think you ever have the damage. I guess he's trying to utilize that Umbral Glaive Spike. Like, realistically, you've got to play with your team here. You need to wait, and despite how frustrating it is, combo your spells with the Sejuani and the Master Yi. Does fall there, and now I can imagine, because he's just respawned, that dragon is going to go over to Verdant.
Well, I mean, at least good news for Ruddy is they don't actually have a bot lane on the map right now, and they've all just come fresh off a reset.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of time if Ruddy want to play some vision down, but I feel like this is a dragon that they're not even going to bother contesting. It's only second dragon. It's an ocean drake. It's not a high value dragon. They'll take it if they can find themselves, you know, a kill or setup, but for now, I think it's just getting information is the real game for Ruddy, and seeing if opportunity does present itself. Zapto actually maybe seeing if he can find something down here on the bottom side of the map, as they're unable to find the damage or the hook, as Gooby trying to get the trade off on to be able to get away.
Yeah, so now what we have to see is a test of discipline from Verdant here. The only way Verdant realistically lose with this kind of lead against this kind of cheese composition is getting picked randomly. So as long as they don't do that, like this, they play together with the peel from the CC, the instant CC from the Maokai and the Lulu. If they stick together and Deathball, I don't think Ruddy have any counterplay.
No, I feel Ruddy have too many greedy champions.
TP advantage.
They are actually calling the TP, and they're going to see if they can make something happen. Shin'en been pretty quiet on the Gwen, is actually quite strong. They baited out the Twisted Advance, and they also baited out the Rocket. So I think Ruddy just felt comfortable to say, the major ults are down. Yep. We can actually play contest here, and they're able to pull that off. And somehow still hold on to this mid tower. It should fall relatively soon, but every wave it stays up is just a little bit better for them. As Toaster, he's doubled. Gooby, it's too strong. He's just too strong now on the Jinx. That's a 5-2 Jinx. Kraken Slayer in hand, got the Zeal. Toaster in some struggleville right now.
Yeah, and Gooby's absolutely having his way bot side now with these multiple kills. You know, it could be a bot lane 2v2 thing, but it is rough for Toaster here. He's so far behind. Ardent Sensor completed for Lulu as well with those buffs to the base damage early game, on top of having Kraken Slayer completed too. There is such a significant lead. I wanted to highlight the teleport before from Nilly. He actually teleported back to lane, so actually did not have TP, and Shihan had TP advantage. So I was wondering if there was anywhere he could maybe have TP flank to force a fight with numbers advantage whilst Nilly was walking from topside, but I guess he didn't see one, settled for getting the dragon instead.
Question is what can Ruddy do? Because it's pretty obvious right now what the game plan is for Verdant. They've got the gold where they want it. They got a very fed Jinx. It's very much about them just not making that mistake. But can Ruddy force a mistake? Is there an option, an opportunity, or do you think this game's just kind of giga done?
I just look at the inventories. I look at the inventories. The first thing I look at is the inventories, and I just see bargain bucket items. Like look at Gwen's items, right? The same thing with you know, bot lane AD carry position. It's all miserable compared to the other side. And I think what you've got to do is wait for a breakpoint that's at least similar to the enemy team, and not this gap right now. Maybe 2 items on the AD carry compared to 2.5 for the other AD carry, you know. And then you take a fight. In the meantime, what you do is you control vision around your team. You give up all the neutral objectives because you have gotten one, which buys you enough time until third dragon, which is when you realistically need to fight, and look for picks in the meantime, because you do have a lot of pick potential with the Masti, and we've been alluding to it the entire time, the Sejuani combination alongside that Pike. I think that's the game plan for Ruddy. Otherwise, you know, there's not much you could do. You can't fight a straight Deathball 5v5. It's not winnable. No,
I think you're completely right. I think it's Verdant already, we'd already kind of noted that these guys had like what we thought was going to just be the stronger team for team fighting at least. Yeah. And they're now ahead. So it's even harder. The Tristana got demolished, got a Rift Herald. This tower is done so. The question is are they going to be able to pick up more here? They're trying not to proc demolish on this tower. They don't even get the charge out. So they're going to save it for this one. They should almost get the Tristana E back fairly soon as well. And this tower's in serious danger. They get the Graviton onto 4, though. That might just be an opportunity, an opening for the catch-on to Zapdo. He's going to not be able to jump in. The Rocket's coming in. Tax is trying to come forward as there's going to be the lockdown from Nilly. The Rocket to find the dunk from Gooby. This might just be game in absolute style. Shinyun has to somehow pull off the multiple man fight. The double kill for Gooby. The open inhibitor. And the tower's under fire, demolishes back, Rift Herald charging forwards. This has just gone so wrong, so fast for Ruddy here. They're going to be able to crack open the turret, taking it down. The Nexus comes in. Zapdo can't find his pentakill, can't find his opportunity. The dunks go wide, and that is going to be the end of the game in phenomenally fast fashion. 18 minutes on the clock, and Verdant slap Ruddy.